Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter episode. Let's see, what is this? This is episode 202. And, I'm really looking forward to this week's show. We were going to have Bo Cowan on as our guest. We had some complications. So he's going to actually be on at a later date. But guess what? You get myself and you're going to get Phil Gerbyshak. Phil is actually back. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring Phil on and we're going to kick things off. And we've got some fantastic topics that we want to discuss with you this week. And, some of these topics are topics from, let's see, we've got Facebook, we've got updates from Pinterest, we've got some Instagram updates, as well as a Snapchat update as well. But I'm going to go ahead and bring on Phil. Phil, how are you doing this week?
Hey, I'm great, Christian. How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you. Fantastic. Great to see you as well.
So yeah, I'm out in the Pacific Northwest this week. I'm in Camas, Washington.
Very nice. So what are you doing out there?
Training some sales teams, man. It's good times. Good times. Some great people out here. So got to see Multnomah Falls last night. Have you been to the Pacific Northwest at all?
I have not been there actually. So I'll have to make my way there.
Man. You gotta go.
So as I was telling viewers, we have lots and lots and lots of topics to cover this week. We pretty much have almost like a full house because we've got Facebook, we've got Pinterest, we've got Instagram, we've got Snapchat, but anything you want to tell viewers before we get started here?
Well, so I just want to say there's been some interesting changes this week. We're excited to share them, and it's really interesting to see how much things change kind of every week, right? I mean, that's the thing, and we talk about this every week, but I really want to stress it's so important that you think about your business when you're listening to this. It's not just, hey, how do I personally use this, but how does my business use this? Does this make strategic sense? That's always our goal here, is to offer you some strategic stuff to think about, and then some practical, tactical stuff you can actually put into play and test in your business to see if it works for you.
Definitely, and testing is a key thing, and I want to kind of talk about that because, hey, I've got a different microphone here today. Testing, it's key. For example, people want to get started with something. You don't have to get an expensive microphone to get started. You can get a $100 microphone. Phil, I think you and I have been using a $100 microphone for a while, right?
Yep.
And we have a Heil PR40 here we're testing out right now as well to see how that sounds, to see what works. And here's the thing I want to tell people: just because someone else is using it and says, hey, this is the microphone to use, does not mean that it's the right one for you. And I'll use this microphone as an example. Ross Brand, we've had him on as a guest before. He and I've talked a lot about mics and whatnot offline, and the microphones differ based on your voice patterns. So like this microphone might be perfect, for instance, for Phil, but hey, maybe it doesn't work for me. So something to always keep in mind when you are doing anything for your business. One, test it out. And two, just keep moving forward. And that means just taking a step ahead. So test it out. If you don't like it, switch to what actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to share on that. So I always have the 3 Ps whenever I train, whenever I coach. It's 3 Ps, right? It's prepare. So figure out which one you want to use. Practice. Actually do some of the work. We practiced for about 10 minutes before we went on, and then produce. Actually go live, do your thing, and then be willing to pivot, right? That's the thing. If that doesn't, if it's not working for you, be prepared to pivot, be able to change, be able to move. So really, really important stuff.
Fantastic tips, definitely. So I'm all set up, by the way. You ready to go?
I'm ready, brother. I am ready.
So what do we want to start with, by the way?
Oh my gosh, so much to start with. Let's start with a little Facebook magic. So Facebook is fascinating, right? Facebook is always testing. And this headline, the headline on the article that we got is a little bit misleading, but I think it's interesting. And that is Facebook is relaunching search ads. Now, the article says that it's to offset slowing revenue, which I'm going to disagree with. Maybe they are slowing revenue, but I think this is actually a boon to folks. This only makes sense. I mean, this is basically a Google ad inside of Facebook, right? A sponsored result, which totally makes sense. So now we can finally advertise against our competitors. Now the question is, I'd ask Christian, is how important is this to a small business?
I mean, overall, I think this is actually a really fantastic update. For starters, if you as a business can, if you have the budget to be able to target keywords, for example, for your competitors, it makes a lot of sense to do this. And I'm going to bring up this example here. Hopefully you guys can see this. I mean, this is actually something Facebook has been doing since 2012, but obviously not with a lot of competitors. And the example they're giving here is, Match.com, OkCupid, and things like that. I mean, if people are searching for OkCupid, Match.com coming up, hey, that's a really big win for that business. So I think if you know who your competitors are and they're not advertising, I would recommend you use these.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, even if they are, if right now it's one choice, but I can absolutely see where Facebook is going to put not just in the search, but then in the search results, right? A couple of ads, which really makes sense. I mean, that's the key to this is you got to understand what people are searching for. You got to think about, is there a top competitor that perhaps I can snipe? Is there someone that I can scoop a little bit of traffic from and get a better result for? The key to this, though, is the big R word, and that's relevancy.
Yeah.
Right? You got to be relevant. If somebody's searching for, in this case, OkCupid, and you do have Match.com, well, you might say, well, okay, that's relevant. But if I've never been to a dating site before, Christian, that might not be relevant. Right. So be really careful and be aware that your brand is important. So don't get just sucked into the fact that, oh, yay, I can do this. In fact, I'm about to send an email to a client with some strategy around this, around the fact that they need to target then the keywords, the key phrase that people are searching for. So it's not just competitor, but it's also really like, what am I trying to do here?
Right. Exactly. And, and again, like you don't want to spend the money just because you have the money. You want to make sure, you do it the right way.
That's right.
Big update. I mean, again, this is something they're testing. They haven't rolled this out, but usually when they are testing something, it means that it probably will roll out very soon. But this also, kind of going into Google AdWords as well. This is very similar to Google AdWords and the fact that it will show up during a Google AdWords search. So definitely something you want to keep in mind. If you're a business, if you've got a little money lying around, maybe you don't put it towards Facebook ads specifically, and maybe you save it up for Facebook search ads.
That's right. Absolutely. Great point, Christian. Really great point.
And by the way, for those of you who do want to learn more about, like, say, Google ads, I am going to drop a link in here because this, even though it's not directly relevant, it might be a good training to take to get you to learn, for instance, how Google search ads work so that you can tap into Facebook search ads when Facebook decides to launch this.
There you go.
So any other tips or anything else you want to add for viewers before we move on to the next topic?
Well, again, what are you targeting, right? That's the question that I always want to encourage people to ask. Like, what are you targeting? How do you actually make this work? Is this just something that you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to, clearly my number one competitor is the one. Well, I got to tell you, if you're a startup, like just started your business and you have no brand equity, nobody's going to click your ad and it's going to come up. And now Facebook's going to just take your money for no clicks. So I would encourage you, really think about this. Make sure that you have some sort of a well-defined ad and make sure that your wording is similar. For instance, if you're targeting dating sites, right, then make sure that that the description there, that is the short description on your page, actually has the words dating site in it, because that relevancy, that's so darn important. And I don't want people to miss out on that. Definitely.
I think, and I mean, again, when you talk about this and we said, hey, the title was a little misleading. It talked about offsetting and slowing revenue. I just mentioned, hey, you know what? Even if it is offsetting revenue for Facebook, which means less people might be advertising, use these instead of just running Facebook ads, because eventually the market gets saturated and you have to find a new avenue or a new way to generate revenue. So definitely something to keep in mind. And again, it's been going on for, since 2012. They actually tested this back when they were doing an IPO because, hey, they wanted to generate additional revenue streams. So if you're a business, it's a way for you to generate additional opportunities to generate revenue for your business or to bring in new clients. But as Phil mentioned, make sure you target the right, you have the description in your Facebook page properly set up, that you have, you're not advertising, for instance, on the wrong topics that somebody might be searching on. Get creative, for example, and look up, maybe some of the brands on Google and see what comes up on Google ads, on Google AdWords, at least on like a regular Google search. And maybe you can then say, hey, well, that's a similar topic I should maybe advertise on Facebook if this comes to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points, Christian. Really great stuff.
So sticking with Facebook, by the way, I think we should stick with some Facebook, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's definitely stick with Facebook.
Another little change, and this is specifically for people who want to target interests for Facebook ads. And again, we're sticking with, this is actually an advertising themed show, basically. But Facebook is going to be, over the coming months, phasing out some of the outdated interest targets for Facebook ads. Again, not something you should just like totally freak out about. The reason being is because Facebook's basically cleaning out the clutter. So if there's interest they put in, they're ones that, maybe people aren't using. So anything you want to add on this one, Phil?
Well, so a couple things here. One, I think the big deal here is that they're not rolling it out tomorrow. So if you do have a successful ad that you're using, they're rolling this out over some months, right? This is going to take a little time. So don't freak out. I mean, even the subheadline says, don't panic. The interest targets will be phased out in the coming months. So don't freak out about this, but do think about, have I looked at my ads recently? Are they really that high performing, or are they I'm just checking the box and saying, yep, I'm advertising. Let this be a lesson to anybody who has the Ron Popeil type of ads, the set it and forget it, like the old Showtime rotisserie, right?
I remember that.
So what do you think, Christian?
What was that?
Well, I said, what were you going to say, man?
Oh, I was going to say, I totally remember the Ron Popeil set and forget it thing, and it doesn't work for ads. I mean, you can't just make an ad and say, okay, yeah, it's going to run for perpetuity here. It's something you do have to go back and you do have to adjust as things are going on.
Yeah, not to mention, here's the thing, right? One of the things that people get annoyed with about Facebook is they run an ad and they don't get any clicks, and it does get served up to people. Well, here's what happens, right? I imagine, and I don't work at Facebook, so don't shoot me for this, but this is what I think, right? Is that people run ads, they pick interest based on what they think people have. They don't really think about it as far as, is this even available? Do I even see this on my profile? So one of the things that I encourage you to do is, as you run an ad, go look at your personal profile versus that ad demographic that you're working to write, and make sure that those fields are actually there. Because it's great that Facebook is finally going to remove this, but I would bet there were lots of ads written that had outdated interest targets that either didn't get displayed to people or got displayed to the wrong people, therefore costing you money that you wouldn't have had to spend to get leads you didn't get.
Yep. No, I think that's a great point. I mean, a lot of people, they spend ad money on things and, they're expecting don't just spend the money just to spend it. If you spend it the right way, I mean, it might cost you a little bit more, but if you're targeting the right audience, you have a much better chance to bring the right people into your business versus, kind of just throwing something to the wall to see if it sticks.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So really important, right? Again, be strategic, and then be tactical. Don't think that, hey, this is just going to magically work. Always think about, how does this relate to my business? How do these targets, how are they relevant? So super, super important.
Oh, absolutely. So by the way, do you want to stick with Facebook ads? You want to stick with ads, or you want to move on to something else? What do you want to do?
Well, so here's the thing, right? So lots of ways we could go. I think one of the things we need to remind folks is that one of the best ways to advertise, one of the best ways to get in front of people is still email. Email is an often forgotten. So if you want email, if you like email, and most of you do, or at least you have email, you should sign up for our daily newsletter. It's at socialchefs.com/daily. You get emails. One email a day from Christian. It's really good stuff. It's the stuff often that doesn't make it to the show, but can move your business. And we also send out our weekly recap. So that's at socialchefs.com/daily. And it also tell you folks, don't forget to mix email into your marketing mix. Don't think that you have to do all the latest and greatest stuff. We cover the latest and greatest stuff because that's often what people are interested in. But don't forget the focus on your fundamentals. I sent my email newsletter from my list yesterday, and I can tell you, people respond to it. I already got 10 responses to it, which is fantastic. I don't always get 10 responses to anything I do on Facebook. So it's very helpful.
Yeah, and test. I mean, here's the thing, like you send out a newsletter, and that, for instance, might be the right way that your audience prefers to consume your content. but it also might be through your social channels. And don't think like, oh, well, one's going to like be the magic bullet and all of a sudden I'm going to do things like it's going to move my business. You have to test, you have to be nimble, and you have to keep trying different things. And if you don't know, if your audience, like if they don't respond to your emails, identify some of the best top fans, for instance, that you have in your business and ask them, point blank, like, hey, can we have a quick, like 5-minute call? Want to get some feedback from my business. If they're, for instance, have been a longtime customer of yours, or you've just seen them online following your channels a lot. So definitely keep that in mind as you're kind of growing your business.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we've got lots and lots of updates on Facebook this week. But what do we have next?
So I think we should move to Pinterest.
Pinterest.
I don't think those words have ever come out of my mouth before. Right. I mean, I'm not a Pinterest guy, but I think that many businesses could be a Pinterest person. So this is really interesting. Pinterest is rolling out ads on the go and improved product recommendations this week, which is really fascinating. So let's talk about ads on the go. Creating an ad in 1, 2, 3, 4 easy steps. Christian, do you run Pinterest ads? I mean, is this helpful for you?
I have not run any Pinterest ads yet, but I do like the fact that they're making these things mobile. So they're rolling out the tools for me to be able to do this from my mobile device. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think because most people are on their mobile more, it's really important that they roll these tools out mobile first. So this is really smart, right? Mobile ads on the go. 4 simple steps to create an ad, which makes it really, really easy. I like this. I think now we're going to offer some ways to get some brand awareness. Pinterest, I'm sorry, is really smart here. I like the fact that they put right inside this a statistic / testimonial about this. This is really smart, right? The founder and CEO of Fount, Fount, says we're seeing a drastic increase in engagement where pins are promoted up to 4,430%. Pinterest bringing, right? Isn't that pretty badass? Yeah. Pinterest bringing more traffic than Facebook and Instagram, where they also run ads. So this is where spend $100, test this out, see if it's actually driving traffic, and more importantly, see if it's driving conversions, because traffic is great, money's better.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, that's a key thing to keep in mind. Like, I love Pinterest. I love the fact that it's not just a visual search engine, but they're also doing a lot of new things. I think like last week, maybe we talked about Pinterest being able to let you upload videos, for example, to your pins, which was pretty amazing beyond just standard, like, let me pin a YouTube video. So you had more native content going up. I love the direction they're going with things, but as you mentioned, you don't necessarily, you may generate a lot of traffic from your Pinterest channel, but if it's not converting, if it's not driving any revenue, great, I'm getting this traffic, but you are paying for that traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing, right? You're always paying. This is not, let's be clear. This is an opportunity for Pinterest to increase their revenue, not an opportunity for them to give you free stuff. So make sure that you test this. Again, look at the conversions, not just traffic, though I will say if you've never done anything on Pinterest, traffic is the first step in getting conversions, because the first time people see your ad, if they're clicking, that's fantastic. So perhaps you do some conversion rate optimization instead of just focusing on, oh my gosh, did I get conversions? So do both. Remember, there's steps, right? You got to be aware this help, and then you got to convert, right? So don't totally freak out if you've been on Pinterest a while and you already get some good clicks, then you should use this to create better ads and better conversions.
Definitely. And, and there's not much else to this. The bottom line is there's going to be mobile ad tools, but chances are it'll be an app, but 4 steps to create Pinterest ads on the go. Chances are it'll probably be step 1 will be probably pick the type of ad you want to create. Step 2 will probably be give us the text, like a title, a meta description. Step 3 will probably be an image, and step 4 will probably be publish.
Yeah. Yep. So URL, right? What are the destination too? Let's remember that. So one thing that I'll add, and this is actually one of the best parts about Pinterest, is it makes you focus. It makes you think about one thing instead of 87 things, which means when you have that pin, you should point that pin to a page that's specific about what the heck that image is about. Absolutely. Really important. I mean, this is this is where Zappos beat the crap out of their competition initially, because they were the first ones to make a product page that that was filled with good product stuff. I mean, that was one of the smartest things that they ever did. Was each, like, if I've got a large Adidas back pair of dress shirt or a workout shirt, right? A large blue Adidas workout shirt, they would actually have a page for that large Adidas workout shirt. And then they would point right to that, and then have other large Adidas workout shirts that then you could pick from. Really important. The more you target, the better.
Definitely. And I'm looking through the comments here, and Eileen, for instance, she says, she did a few Pinterest ads when they first launched, and overall, her results, she said they were great, driving traffic to my old blog. So really, again, good to use to drive to your blog. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, keep that in mind for sure. So let's you want to move to Snapchat? I can't, again, I'm going to throw up a little bit in my mouth because we don't ever talk about Snapchat or Pinterest. So this is fun though. But can you name that ad in 3 steps?
I know, absolutely. This is actually pretty crazy. It's like a game. So Pinterest this week said, hey, we're coming up with mobile ad tools that will take 4 steps. And Snapchat now says, hey, we're going to introduce something called Instant Create. It's a way to publish an ad in 3 simple steps. So this is pretty amazing. The ability to then minimize the number of steps it takes to create an ad. And I wonder, are they going to use some artificial intelligence for this? Is there something else going on to really reduce the number of steps that you actually need to make an ad? What do you think, by the way, about this?
Well, first, I think it's funny that Pinterest has got 4, now Snapchat's got 2. LinkedIn has 1. You can just send them a check, and you'll get 0 visibility on your ad. No, I'm just kidding, LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. So, no, I think this is great, right? The easier it is, the better. And I have to tell you, this has been one of the mysteries for me about Snapchat is, how do I even run an ad? Like, I'm looking at my app, and to be fair, I am far from a Snapchat power user, okay? I am not a Snapchat power user. That being said, like I look at my screen, I'm looking right now. I have no idea how to even run an ad or how to target anybody or how to do much of anything. Well, that doesn't help me, right? That's silly. So oh well, it would be great if that would be easier. So I'm hoping that they make it more obvious for me, that it says, hey, dude, here's how you can advertise, because, maybe I want to do that. So I don't know. What do you think, Christian?
So overall, I mean, they do have a desktop version. It's basically at forbusiness.snapchat.com. That will actually take you to their
really?
Platform. Yeah, they do have an ad platform. But what's interesting actually is that Snapchat hides a lot of their websites. Like, for instance, they have a blog. For instance, sometimes they'll have stuff that goes out there. But you can go and advertise there. It's obviously for a business. So it's a pretty neat little platform actually that they've got, and they've got strong visuals as well. But the fact that they are reducing this to 3 steps, that's pretty amazing, I think, for me, to make it easy for people to create ads. Now, the thing I don't like about the fact that, like, hey, let's reduce it to, pretty much no steps, is the fact that you have to think about your ads. You can't just it's not like, oh, I'm going to take A, B, and C, combine them, and poof, I've got this fantastic ad because I completed the first 3 items. You have to really know, you have to be really strong with your advertising, knowing what your message is going to be, who your audience is you're trying to reach, what's the landing page they're going to go to, how well that landing page is built. There's a lot more to it than just, hey, I plugged in this, and this. And poof,
yeah. Such a great point, Christian. That's so funny, right? Just because you can create an ad in 3 steps does not mean that you're going to get an ad that converts in 3 steps. Let's be really clear, right? We still have to do this. But if you know what you're doing, you know what your messaging is, you know where they're going, you have that optimized, right? Those are really 4 steps that they don't talk about here, because those, frankly, don't have as much to do with Snapchat as they have to do with your business. So though it's easier to make an ad, you still have to be smart. You still have to do this the right way. So, Christian, I love that you brought that up, because often people forget about that and they think that's just so simple as a pimple. Oh, look, I did an ad. And I got to tell you, if it's not mobile optimized, if it's not optimized for your audience, if you didn't take some time to optimize conversion, you're just throwing money at it, and it's no good.
No, absolutely not. And it's like, oh, I have all these tools, for instance, for my business. Same process. I have all these tools. If you don't put any of them into play, then, you know, you can't be like, well, hey, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because maybe it's not optimized. Maybe it's not done correctly. You know, maybe my website's missing something. So keep that in mind though, but very simple. Sorry, I'm getting these confused. I've got Instagram, I got Pinterest, I got Snapchat, but Snapchat instant create ads. And basically, you can choose to basically, and by the way, it will not give way to like the other process for creating ads. You're still going to have the instant create option. You're going to have the advanced create option, obviously, where if you want to make multiple ad sets, you know, that's going to be another useful feature as well. So they're not like, you know, hey, let me see who's the fastest at creating ads.
Right.
It's making it easier for you to create them, but you still have to bring the chops to it.
Yep.
So very, very useful product. And again, I mean, this is basically going to be available on Snapchat self-serve ad platform, which, as I mentioned, that's forbusiness.snapchat.com. That's also in the description, by the way. In the comments. If you're watching us on Facebook or if you're watching us over on YouTube, we'll make sure to drop some links over there as well. But that's Snapchat Instant Create. And by the way, I do want to drop one other thing here for everyone. There also is a handy guide that Snapchat's publishing for Instant Create as well. It's more on the campaign side of things. So it'll help you overall with kind of figuring out what kind of what kind of ads you need to run, how they work, and so forth. So keep that in mind. By the way, do you find it funny that it's also called Instant Create? If there's any sort of Instagram tie in there, maybe?
Well, of course there is, right? Of course there is. There's got to be, right? So they're tying to each other. I like to make it for Instagram in a snap. That's how I use mine. What do you think, Christian? No, probably not, huh? Snappergram. That's what I'm saying, man. I'm just going to buy snappergram.com and just forward it to our show every time that we talk about these two tools, right?
And I wonder if that's actually available, because
it probably is. So, although I'm going to guess somebody just picked it up in 3, 2, 1 step. They bought my domain. You should use GoDaddy. No, I'm just kidding, right? So we should get some sponsors on the show so that we can start doing that.
So, by the way, we're at we have a couple more topics, obviously, like that we aren't going to cover today. Some of those are some Instagram updates. They've got some updates to stories, basically for you to do green screen editing from your mobile, which is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
YouTube updates and a couple more things, but it's my favorite part of the show. I think your favorite part as well. And it is
Tool time. Absolutely my favorite part of the show. This is also the part of the show where we dance. So if you're paying attention here, we're dancing. And if you listen to this on the podcast, which is coming out real soon, you'll see us dancing, and you'll be wondering, like, are they really dancing or are they not? And you'll never know because it's tool time. We're really excited. This is the part of the show where we talk about 2 tools that you can use to build your business. As with all the tools that we recommend, we always try to offer alternatives. So if you have an alternative to one of these tools, please let us know. If not, feel free to test these out. These are pretty cool. So these are really they can be really helpful tools for your business, or they could be a big waste of time. So so go ahead and take a look at tool time. Really good. So
first tool we got for this week, it's called FancyHands. And basically the bottom line is this: if we're busy, we need an assistant. It can be very hard to find an assistant. You know, a lot of times it's like, okay, well, I want to bring somebody on as assistant. Well, if they're in the States, for example, there might be, you know, a high salary that they want, for example. So then maybe the person gets pushed to overseas. Well, hey, let me bring somebody overseas. Well, then there might be a language barrier, but hey, it's going to cost me less money. There's also going to be a time barrier as well, because, for example, if you're working with somebody in, say, the Philippines, you know, maybe that's, you know, you're like 2 or 3 o'clock. I don't know exactly the time, but maybe it's super early in the morning for you. So you have to then try to juggle, well, when do I get the information to them? Because it could then delay your project. So what FancyHands is, basically, it's a US-based team of assistants where you can go and you can have them assign different tasks. So right. You want to tell people a little more about this tool?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this tool, right? I actually dropped a little referral link there in the comments there. You go to bit.ly/FancyPhil with a capital F and a capital P. You can check that out. That gets you to sign up for this. And what I use this for is often some quick research that I need done. So for instance, if I'm writing an article and I'm looking for a stat, I'm going to use FancyHands to get a task done, right? So, hey, go find me the latest stat on LinkedIn for B2B marketing, right? Really quick something. Or I might use this to go grab the 20 quotes about social media from 2019, something like that, right? And then I can do that. So it makes it really easy if you think of this as a task that you could use.
Okay.
Just an assistant for that you only need about 15 to 20 minutes to do. So let's be clear, this is not a virtual assistant that you spend 8 hours a week with or 8 hours a day with. This is task stuff, all US based, really simple. And I've been using this tool for years. So do take a look at it. Do see if it's useful for you. But I think, again, those little tasks, one of my friends, Beth Zesnius, she's your nerdy best friend. And we got to have her on the show too. She's got a new book coming out, by the way. Beth is an app nerd. So this tool time, this is for her. She's the one that introduced me to this. And she uses it. She loves orange as much as I do. So she talks about in her programs, imagine, if you will, that she needs a new bag. And she'll send a task to FancyHands that says, for under $100, find me an orange bag that is rated 4 stars or more that will fit under the seat in front of me on airplanes, because she flies around giving great speeches. So, she'll do that, and they'll come back with 5 to 10 choices that she can pick from, and then she can choose from there. So really slick. Or something fun like, hey, I'm in the middle of a meeting and I need to order pizza from such and such place, but I'm not sure if they're even open because sadly they haven't claimed their Yelp review.
Or the Google.
Okay, well, that's, I can use FancyHands for that. Or this week I'm in Camas, Washington. I've never been to Camas. Please find me the 3 places that are open for breakfast before 6 a.m. That's another way that I could use that, right? So something like that makes it really, really easy to use and to think about. So I would just encourage folks, give it a try. Again, you can go to bit.ly/fancyphil, and that's bit.ly/FANCY_PHIL. Makes it really simple for you.
Yeah, and then overall, from a cost standpoint, you have to, I'll put this in perspective. So basically, it's for requests up to 20 minutes of work. And you can purchase blocks of essentially an assignment. So, for example, if you have 5 requests a month, it's $30 a month. That's $6 a request, a couple times a week. So 15 times a month, that's $75 or $5 per request. And if you want one every single day, for instance, that would be $150 a month or $5 per request. So definitely something that you may want to check out. And again, if you're a business, it can help with lots of different things. It could be, maybe you need research done for an article. Maybe you need a certain task. For example, say you have like something that so let's put in this perspective. It's great for a tool that you need, something that you need help with, that you could be spending your time doing something else. So keep that in mind. But as Phil mentioned, it's not a virtual assistant, but it is going to help you offload some of the tasks, some of the ones that you are not necessarily, maybe they're not your favorite task to do, but hey, you have to do it. Maybe it's just something spreadsheet related, for example, put together a spreadsheet of, the top 100, whatever, that you want to turn into a blog post. You don't have to do the research. You just give them, the information, and then you get the information back, and then you now have something to work with. So that's FancyHands. That's tool number 1 for the week. Now, the second tool that we have for you is called Insta Spacer. And this is essentially a WordPress. It's a iOS app, and it's a pretty straightforward app. Here's what it does. For those of you who want to type out spacing on Instagram and have your post formatted and looking nice, it's not an easy thing to do from directly in the app. So what they do is you launch Insta Spacer, you type out your message, you then hit copy and paste or convert, and then it will actually round trip you over to Instagram with all of your spaces intact. That's pretty much all it does.
Yeah. Well, and so a couple good things about this. One, this can be really entertaining to do on the mobile because sometimes it doesn't work. So this tool does work. Secondly, it also cleans it up, to your point, Christian, about Facebook, right? So sometimes we share things to Facebook and it doesn't work. And so I like this. It's an easy tool, really easy tool. It isn't hard to use, and it's really clear. Insta Spacer, Instagram spacing, really, really simple.
And there's also an Android version as well, by the way, for those of you using Android. So keep that in mind for this app. But again, very useful app. I mean, it's got pretty high rating on the Android platform. It's getting, like, I think, 4.9 stars. On iOS, it's got a decent rating over there. Again, you have two different users, but I'd recommend giving it a try. It's a free download. Download it, see if it works for you. And then if you want to use it, keep it. If not, delete it. Very simple.
Yep. Really simple. Really simple. If you're doing some Instagram, this could really help you. So
definitely. So Phil, is there anything else you want to cover this week, or what do you want to say?
So I would say, there's lots of apps out there. We have a bevy of apps that we're looking for. So what I'd love to hear is, if you're listening, if you're watching, let us know, like, what's a problem that you're having with an app? Is there an app that you're looking for? Something that does something? Is there something in your business that you've been like, I wish there were an app for? And not that we're going to steal it and develop it, but what we are going to do, though, is we'll do some research and we'll include it on a future show. So if you want to see that, Christian, is the URL just socialchefs.com/contact to contact us?
Yep. They can either contact us directly. They can go through the website. They can go through the social channels, as well as facebook.com/socialchefs. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/socialchefs as well. Just leave a comment. We want to engage with you. So if you want, if you have questions, or if you have apps that you're using, tell us. We want to hear about, ones that you like, ones that help you solve problems. For example, maybe it's an obscure app that you're using that someone else has not heard of. But yeah, let us know.
Yep. Let us know. We're happy to help you with that. Happy to, answer questions. So yeah, let us know. We're always looking on the lookout for new apps. If you have a suggestion for a cool app, just let us know. We're happy to take that as well. And if you're thinking, hey, you know what, this is just Christian and Phil today, what I'd encourage you to know is Christian and Phil do have some insight even without a guest. So we're here for you. We try to bring on guests every week, but sometimes we just get to talk to you, and we're super excited that we get to spend time with you each and every week.
So I want to thank everybody, by the way, for watching. Phil, thanks a lot I know you're really busy right now, so thanks a lot for taking some time to join just for this short amount of time this week. For those of you watching, by the way, if you want to get the blog post recap, we mentioned we have the daily newsletter, socialchefs.com/daily. We're also going to have a blog post recap that will go out as well, socialchefs.com/SC202. For those of you who want the more condensed version, we're also going to have an Alexa flash briefing, socialchefs.com/Alexa as well, if you want to get that. And you don't need to have an Alexa product. You can download the Alexa app for iOS or Android and get the skill there as well. But I want to thank everyone for joining. We have another fantastic show next week. It's going to be episode 203. It's going to be Troy's going to step in for Phil. Phil's doing some more training. We're also going to have our guest on, Adina Jippa, and then we're going to be on at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next week as well. So next Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at facebook.com/socialchefs or youtube.com/socialchefs as well if you're watching us live. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody who's watched with us this morning. Phil, fantastic having you on.
Yeah.
And credits here, but thanks a lot for joining, everyone.
Yeah. Hope you have a great week. Let us know how we can help you. See you soon.
Bye.